What in the world is the look-away method? Well, that is what we're going to learn about today. But first, welcome to the Daily Voiceover Huddle. My name is James Michael Hathcote. I am the leader of the Voiceover Blueprint. I've been a professional voiceover talent off and on since 1995. And yeah, we're here to learn about moving your voiceover business just a little bit further every day, or hopefully a lot further. And before we get into today's lesson, as usual, make sure you chime in on the live chat. I'll do some shout outs here in a few minutes. Just tell me where you're watching from, and we'll get into that here shortly. Also, if you'd like to find out more information about the voiceover blueprint, check out the description. There's some links down there where you can get more info on that. Okay, the look away method. For those of you who are in the blueprint, or have coached with me one-on-one, you will probably have heard that before. But to everyone else, I want to talk about what the look away method is. And this is just something that I call it. There may be other terms for this in other parts of the VO world, but I call it the look away method because that's what it is. And it goes like this. When you're reading any sort of copy, especially commercial copy, whenever your eyeballs are on the words themselves, something in your brain says, I'm reading this. And it comes out a little different. But if you're not looking at the words, something in your brain says, I'm just talking. So the look away method is just something that I call reading the script in your head, or the line in your head, committing it to short-term memory, and literally looking away from it to say it. It's that simple. Now, like I said a second ago, this works more on commercial copy than it does, long form. I'm not saying you should memorize a full sentence in an e-learning module on some sort of technology brand or something like that. What I'm saying is, and this is usually in commercial copy where the lines are very short, or even the pieces of the lines are very short, because you can break lines into little bite-sized pieces, especially if they're separated by commas. But the look-away method is reading part of the line or all of the line, committing it to short-term memory, looking away. You don't turn your head because you don't want to turn away from the microphone, but just looking away from the script and just saying that line like you would say it in a normal conversation. That will trick your brain into thinking, well, I'm just talking. I'm just having a conversation, and it naturally just comes out better. All right. So, like I said, those of you who've worked with me before know that this works really well. As soon as you do this, it can change your conversational read like you would not believe. So give it a try the next time you have a commercial copy or any kind of copy that's has kind of short, punchy lines where you can commit those to short-term memory and then just say them out loud without bouncing your eyeballs on every word. I promise you it will come out more natural. So give it a try. All right, let's get into it, shall we? Let's see who's on today. There's Jason from Kearney, Nebraska, first in today. Number 2 is Celette. Good afternoon from Newark, Delaware. Hopefully, Celette, your knee replacement is healing up, and I know you've been back in the booth because I've heard your stuff, but hopefully you're getting even further down the road to mending your knee there. Jason says, can't wait to hear this. Well, you heard it. So hopefully that makes all the sense that you need there. If you have any questions, let me know. Mark says, hi, everyone from Montreal. M.E. Dahl, good morning from Phoenix. Good morning to you from Phoenix. Let's see. Oh, this jumped on me again. Let's see. There's Sean. Good morning from Longview. Edward, good morning from Jacksonville, Florida. I've never been to Jacksonville, but there's a very famous skateboard park there that's been around since the 70s. It's called Kona Skate Park. And it's one of the most famous skate parks in the world. And I've yet to visit there, but I have tons of friends who have. So maybe you've seen it or driven by it. I don't know what part of Jacksonville it's in, but it's a legendary park. So if you've never been and you're right there in town, go check it out, even if you're not a skater. Kirk says, howdy from Greenville, South Carolina. Nephi from Knoxville. Sirius says, working on my DIY demo from Charlotte. Excellent. Bob says, good chilly morning from Wadsworth, Ohio. And there's Sarah Boyd from Kentucky. Hey, y'all. And there's Wayne from Port Orchard, Washington. John from Denver. Denise says hi from LI. Voice 156, greetings from the Netherlands. And there's Patrick. Good morning from Maryland. And there's Robert. Good morning from Atlanta. A thrown back has me out of the booth, but I'll get back in action soon. Doesn't that just, oh, any kind of stuff like that. I mean, I'm pretty good about getting in the booth with all kinds of injuries. Being a skateboarder, I've recorded in here with casts and stuff. I mean, all kinds of stuff. The only thing that can really get me out of this booth is if my voice is gone, like it was a few weeks ago when I had COVID. But I try to just hobble in here as much as I can when I can. Loretta says, good morning from Crete, Illinois. By the way, even when I had hip surgery back in October, I was only out for a couple of days before I was able to come in here and sit down. Actually, I actually didn't sit down. I actually raised my table here. I've got an automated desk, and I raised it up, and it was actually more comfortable for me to stand with my hip the way it was than sit. JJ Holland says, cool name, James Michael. Thank you. I had nothing to do with it. My mom was the thing. Now, here's the thing, though. My name's James Michael, but they all called me Mike growing up. Michael or Mike. Don't do that to your kids. All right? Just don't. If just call them by their first name, because it has been nothing but trouble my whole life. Sorry, Mom, but it has. The only good thing about it is I know when the telemarketers are calling because they ask for James. That's really it. Oh, JJ also says it's 13 degrees in Minnesota. Jeez. She says she loves the look away method. Yep, she and I worked on that together too. Terry says, hey, Mike from Fallston, Maryland. Great subject. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Chris, good morning from Lakeville, Minnesota. Zoink says, what's the look away method? Well, I just explained it. So if you're late, you may have to go back and watch the replay. Bob says, makes perfect sense to me. Even can tell when I'm reading in my playback. Yeah, you can. That look away method is magic. And I've got a few more little tips that we'll talk about later on the subject of getting a better, more natural read. Voice 156 says, just increased my prices on fiber. Thankfully, still getting orders. That's what it's about, right? Steadily working your way up that food chain or that totem pole, whatever you want to call it. As you work your way up those ranks, you can, you're justified in raising your rates, because you've been there a minute and you've got the experience, you've got the orders, you've got the testimonials. So you can prove that you're worth X amount more than what you were charging. Wally says, thanks for the words of VO wisdom, Mike, back in Annapolis, Maryland. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Johnny says, Johnny checking in from the future. I'll catch you on the replay. Okay. Gotcha. Theo says, happy Tuesday from downtown Chicago. Andrew says, good morning or evening from Latvia. There's Nancy in Yankton, South Dakota. All right, guys. We're at the bottom already. Anybody else want to chime in or have any questions about the look away method? For who was it that asked about that a second ago? Oh, Zoinks says, what's the look away method? Just real quickly, I'll just explain it real quickly again. It's looking away from the script after you've memorized just the short line on the page. Like if it's a commercial copy, you memorize the line, you divert your eyes away from it or close your eyes or whatever you have to do so that your eyeballs aren't on the actual script, and you just say it like you would say it in a conversation. That will go a long way in changing your conversational read. Just don't try it on long e-learning or something like that. That's really hard. But short commercial copy, easy peasy. Parashon says, "Good morning, Mike." Well, good morning, Parashon, and hopefully I'm still getting your name correctly. Um, Anubis Goddess 23. By the way, guys, if you it works better if you just put your name in the in the comment. It just kind of flows a little bit better. But um, aspiring voice actor from Virgin Islands. I have to catch the VOD because my other studies. I'm still looking forward to binge watching. Thank you. There are over 1,400 videos on this channel, all related to voiceover, all free. Bill DeWeese started this way back in the day, and for those of you who are kinda newer, he has turned that over to me. He has retired from coaching. He still does VO, but he has retired from coaching, and he kinda turned it over to me, who was just kind of his star student. I was a member of the Blueprint before I was an operator. So it's like the hair club for men, because 'cause I'm also a client. But, uh but yeah, over 1,400 videos. You'll never run out of content, so dive in. All right, we got, let's see. Kirk says, "Does look away add pauses and create more editing?" Yes, I guess it would technically, but who cares? You should never try. Well, I don't want to say you shouldn't try. The goal is not to get any read in one take, and that's what the editor's for. I don't care if you read a certain line 11 times in a row until you get the right one. That's what editing is for. The only time you have to get things in one take is live announcing, when you're announcing an event live. Other than that, editor is your friend. Read that line a bunch until you get the right one and then move on and then just cut those other ones out, cobble together the good takes. You're good. That's the job. Edward says, "Thanks for the tip on the skate park. Haven't been out much yet. Just moved here from NYC a week ago." Oh, okay. Still unloading the pods. Fresh start, sunny skies, and a new house with the perfect closet studio. Rock and roll. Awesome. That's where I started. I started in the closet right across the office here, and was in there for years and years. Finally came out of the closet a few years ago and bought this big fancy schmancy booth. Andrew says, "I have an old Fiverr account. Should I use it or get a new one?" Well, if you've got an old one and you've got some reviews and stuff on there, sure, keep it. Because the only time, I mean, if you were to go start over from scratch, you would literally have to start over at 0 seller, at the new seller level, and not be able to work and it would take a lot longer to work your way up. So it would kind of depend on whether or not your old Fiverr account, at what level you're at. I would just keep it because there's a lot involved in starting over with proving who your identity and all that kind of stuff. You have to jump through a lot of hoops. So I would keep the old one and just refresh it. Upload your current demos, reset your pricing, whatever you want it to be, and just keep it. Especially if you've got jobs under your belt and you've got some reviews. Parashon says, "What a realistic time frame for building or what's a realistic time frame for building voiceover clientele? I'm frustrated." Well, I've got good news and I've got bad news. The good news is it does happen as long as you follow the right steps. You have good quality professional demos, you have a good website to post them on. You're not just relying on Fiverr and Upwork and some of those freelance sites. It'll take forever if you're only relying on those kind of places. But if you're direct marketing, it will happen. But the bad news is it's a long haul. It's Nothing happens overnight that's worth it. So you have to do the right things over and over and over again and rinse and repeat. And it does happen. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You just have to keep showing up and doing it. And I'll be honest, that is what most people are not aware of in this business. Anybody who tells you you can do this overnight or in a very short amount of time, not the case. So I'm trying to be real. It takes a while, but if you're consistent, you have good quality, stuff to showcase, you have good training, it will happen. Don't try to go out there and do it on your own without guidance or without good quality stuff. So it does happen. You just have to be persistent. Tenacity. Andrew says, no reviews, mostly used to get gigs, but not do gigs. Oh, used to get gigs. Oh, so you used it to buy things from people versus selling your own stuff. Well, sure. Yeah, keep it. Yeah, keep it. Jason says, amen, Mike. I don't know what you're referring to, but amen right back. All right. Parashon says, got it. Thanks. Consistency. Yes, consistency is key, but make sure that you do have the right bait. If you're fishing with either no hook or nothing on the hook, it's going to take a lot longer, right? You got to have good quality samples, demos to fish with. And the more of those lines you have in the water, the better. So what I mean by that is not relying just on Fiverr or Upwork or any of those kinds of things. As many places as you can put that line in the water. I don't know why I'm using a fishing analogy. I don't fish, but it works. Um, as many places as you can put those lines in the water. That means direct marketing. It means agents. It means, yes, Fiverr, Upwork, diversification. Put it out there as many places as you can. All right. Well, once again, I've got a busy, busy day coming up, so I am going to get after it. I've got some. For those of you who don't know, I'm the voice of the Citibank credit card, the Citibank / American Airlines Citi Rewards credit card program. So I've got a bunch of lines to record for them. So I'm going to do that next. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for showing up today and for all the great comments and questions. Um, and I'll be right back here tomorrow, same time. Hope to see you then. And until then, break a lip. Take care.